like it might be a little slow, but hopefully it is okay. I kept trying to go live. It kept telling me, you have a poor connection. It's trying to reconnect. And I restarted everything. Finally, I was like, maybe I should restart my phone because the signal looks good. So I did that, and here we are. Hopefully it will be okay. If you are new here, my name is Rachel Trout, and I usually come live on Thursdays at 12 p.m. Arizona time. Since I last came live, we had daylight savings time. So Arizona does not do daylight savings time. So we used to line up with the mountain time zone, but now we line up with Pacific time. So for some of you, this might be a different time than I was live before. But no worries, you can always come back and watch the replay, and then I always share the video on my YouTube channel also, and in my email to my email list. So I email the video out later on in the day. So those are the places you can find me. So if you are joining me, please say hi. And it has been a few weeks. So my kids had spring break and my in-laws were visiting. They went home yesterday, but it was very busy leading up to the time when they arrived. We had a lot of things going on, and I just ran out of time to do some stamping things. I wanted to pre-record videos for you, but it just didn't happen. I saw there's another demonstrator I follow. Her name is Jamie. I think she says her last name Barksy, and I'm not sure. But anyways, I love her cards and her style, and she had on stories the other day just about how she's feeling overwhelmed and she really wants to be stamping, but there's all these other things taking her attention. And I was like, this is 100% how I was feeling a few weeks ago. I would love to be stamping, but there were just other things I had to do instead. You know, my family wants dinner on the table. And some of those fun things that I won't get to do when my kids are older that I want to do with them now. So, you know, after I'm done with this video, I would love to keep stamping all afternoon, but I'm going to have to do some of those other not so fun things. So, today we're going to play with a really fun suite of products. I will flip the camera down here in a second to show them to you. And we always make 3 cards, and then you can get the card kit for free with your order when you shop with me this week. So I had a whole description typed out, and I got tired of doing it so many times. My phone didn't save my copy and paste when I restarted it. So I was like, you know what, I'll add that later. So I will put a shopping link in the description of the video when I'm done. But if you spend more than $50 with me before tax and shipping, you can shop now through Tuesday. And I will send you the card kit for the 3 cards we're making. Now I'm changing this just a little bit. In a few weeks, we're going to have a new rewards program. So when you shop, you're going to earn rewards that you can use on your next order. So when you place a $50 order, you're going to get $5 in rewards to use on your next order, and you can save them up. So you could save them for something larger if you want, or you can just use that little bit like a discount on your next order. So you're going to get that when you shop with me. And then the prices of the cardstock and everything are going up a little bit with our next catalog. So I thought now was a good time to switch. I used to do double the cards if you spent $50 and you only had to spend $40. And I thought, you know what, let's just make it $50. I'll send you one of each card for the card kit. And starting in just a few weeks, you're going to get the extra rewards when you shop too. So that'll just make it simple. It'll make the packages nice and flat for me to send you. And I think it'll be good all the way around. Less confusing for everyone. So a $50 order and you'll get the card kit for the 3 cards this week. They are gorgeous, if I do say so myself. But you know what? The bundle does a lot of the work and the paper does too. So let's flip down and take a look. I see a few of you are here. Hi, Sharon, and hi, Laura. I'm glad to see you today. I am glad to see you too, because I have missed doing crafting with you. And to be honest, I did not do a whole lot of crafting the last few weeks. So it is good to be working on stamping things again. Okay. Today we're going to be using, it's called the Lovely Garden Suite Collection. This is a suite that you will find in our online exclusive section of the store, so it's not in a catalog, but it's a really pretty suite of products. And I have almost everything in the suite here to show you today. I didn't get the ribbon. The ribbon in this suite is a narrow velvety ribbon in fresh freesia. It looks really pretty, but I didn't buy it because the velvety ribbon, I just always get frustrated when I try and tie it, and I like to do bows, and the velvet ribbon just doesn't lend itself very well to that. So I didn't end up getting the ribbon, but we're going to be using another pretty ribbon today. So this suite includes that ribbon, but it includes a whole bunch of other great things too. The bundle actually includes 3 things. So you get the stamp set, you get a die set. So lots of dies in this set. You have this large leaf that just cuts out a detailed leaf. This cuts out the hydrangea. You've got 2 of the little leaves, so you can stamp and cut multiples. This one cuts out this little leaf cluster. This one we're going to use today. It cuts out a few of the petals of the hydrangea, and I'll show you how that works on our last card. And then you've got this one that cuts out the other large flower. Same with this. Ooh, you know what? I wasn't looking when I did 2 of these leaves on my last card, and I just used the one die here. But look, there's 2 more, so we can cut out both at the same time. You have another detailed leaf here, and then this will cut out, you know, one of these flowers too. So lots of opportunities to mix and match. And then the third thing that comes in the bundle is a set of masks, and we are going to use these today. I think I've only bought one other bundle that has the masks. I don't know about you. We've had quite a number of them now, but they really make you feel like an artist when you use them. So you'll just have to watch the magic today. The embellishment that's in this suite are these starburst sequins. So they come in some of the colors that are in the paper, and they are lots of fun. And then here is the paper. It's a 12 by 12. Not all of my pieces here are 12 by 12, but I thought I would show you all of the patterns. Lots of pretty colors in this. And then the back of most of them, I think, is black and white. So you can add color or you can leave them. This one's kind of upside down, I guess. Garden green. Fresh freesia. Some nice background colors there. I love this color combination. Now it says blueberry bushel is the only blue listed on this paper, but I think this is like, it's either boho blue or balmy blue. I used boho blue on some of my cards today. Well, here, let's see. Does it match? I think it is boho blue. So it's not listed as a coordinating color, but I think it is. Black and white dots. Who doesn't love that? Got more of the garden green. Black and white stripes. Okay, these are my 2 favorite patterns right here. Love those. And then we've got a black and white pattern on the back. And another garden green pattern on that one. So the paper is really, really pretty. Okay, so that is the suite of products we're working with today. Here is our first card that we're going to make. I shared this one the other day, and I know a lot of you loved it. So I have seen other cards where they use the arched, what are these called? Everyday Arches dies. And I love them for a background. So they have coordinating stamp sets, but the dies by themselves are very nice, just as background pieces. So if you order this week and you get the card kit, this is exactly what you'll get. You will get your envelope with all of your pieces for the card inside. You have to provide your own stamps, inks, adhesives, and you can use your own embellishments and ribbon. But if you want to use the ones that I'm using today, you can add them to your order. So these are the starburst sequins. And then the ribbon we're using is a white ribbon. This is also part of our online exclusives. And it is a white 1/4 inch ribbon. I'm trying to see if it has another name on here. It just says ribbon. But it's a white 1/4 inch ribbon. And it is really nice for tying. It is a nice narrow size. And of course you all have seen me color white ribbon before. I love white ribbon for that. So it goes really well with anything. Hi, Joan. All right, I'm glad so many of you found me today because I was having technology issues, and so I am a little late, but that's okay. You didn't miss anything. We're just starting on our first card. So the first one, I have a fresh freesia card base, 5.5 by 8.5. We'll fold that in half, and then I have the piece of fresh freesia designer series paper that's 5.25 by 4, and we're going to just put that on our card base. Now that I look at this, wouldn't that really pop against the garden green too? Ooh, that would be pretty. I already put the adhesive on though, so we cannot test that out. You could do a garden green card base and that garden green, and I think that would look super pretty too. Okay, then I have my arched piece that I've cut with the Everyday Arches dies, and I just cut that out of basic white. Just kind of like a background layering piece. So we want to center that. And then we're going to do our stamping and our coloring. So I have a piece of white here and our large flower stamp, and we're going to ink it up in black ink. You can use any black ink you want for this. I like our Memento ink the best, but if you have Stays On or another black ink, you can use that. So I'm just making sure I've got it inked up pretty well. All right, I'm going to move that stamp off to the side so we don't make a mess. And then while I have out my black ink, I'm going to stamp my sentiment too. This little piece here is from a new die set that is also an online exclusive. It's called the Textured Notes dies. It's part of a bundle, but this is another, the arches and this die set. I ended up just buying the dies because I liked them. So this is the smallest little rectangle, but it's a set of rectangles in different sizes that have different textures around the borders. And it fits this sentiment from the Thankful Garden stamp set perfectly. So there you go. You make a difference. Okay, we're going to close up our ink. And to color our flower, we are going to start with the leaves. And I'm going to use Garden Green ink. I think I'm going to get a piece of scrap paper. You could just do this on your glass mat, but I do not want to have a bunch of ink there for my other projects. Now the nice thing about these masks is that they are numbered, although these are fairly easy to tell which comes first. So the leaves are number 4 and 5, and the flowers are 1, 2, and 3. So we want to start with 4. And this is just the solid, and I have to make sure I've got it on the right side here. Now, they have these little notches here so that you can line it up the same. I was kind of having trouble doing that. Well, you know what? It helps if you use the leaves that go with the flower you stamped. This is for the hydrangea. So it would help if I use the right leaves. Now, I'll have to test this because I was just lining it up by eyeballing it. And then when I got to the hydrangea on our second card, I tried to mark the little notches, and it didn't line up. I don't know if I was doing it wrong. That's a very strong possibility. So I just eyeballed it. I think those notches are there, though, to help you get it in the right place. And you can use like washi tape or masking tape. I just used a few Post-its to help hold down my mask and keep it in place. And then you'll want to use a blending brush to grab your ink. So I am using Garden Green. And for this first layer on the first mask, I just want to add a nice layer. It doesn't have to be super dark, but I just want to get green all over my leaves. So I'm not pressing super hard. I'm just getting a nice layer. All right. Now I did bring my cleaning cloth in here. And for these, I have just been rinsing them in the sink. But I'm just going to take a little bit of the ink off, maybe with my cleaning cloth. I just don't want to get ink all over my paper because I'm going to use this again, but I don't know how well that's working. it works really well to just rinse them in the sink. I will say that. Okay, we're going to bring in our second mask here, the number 5. And like I said, I was just eyeballing it when I did this before, so you just want to make sure all the little openings end up on a leaf. And I'm just making sure I didn't go over the edge anywhere. I think that's good, so I'm going to stick my Post-its back on there. And I'm using garden green still, so we're just going to add, it's like adding another layer of color, but it's going to go in just the spots on this mask, so it's adding some detail. And this is where the magic happens, because it's going to get darker in those areas and shade it for you, and you do not have to figure out where to do the shading. So if you are worried, did I shade it in the right spot? Does it look okay? You know, you're supposed to think about where the shadows would be. Who knows where that is? Well, you don't have to figure that out. You just use the masks and they do the hard work for you. So let's take these off and look at that. Magic, right? I love it. Okay, I am setting those to the side where I will hopefully not get ink all over everything. And now we're going to take our mask with the flowers. So now I need my number 1. So I don't know if you can see that on the video, but by the notch there is a 1. We're going to close up our garden green ink, and I decided, so fresh freesia is in the paper, and I wanted a lighter color for that first layer, so I pulled out my bubble bath. I think bubble bath and fresh freesia complement each other really well, so that is why I went with bubble bath. And again, I'm just lining this up around the edge of my flower. I'm going to put my Post-it notes on. And I have one blending brush that I am using for the bubble bath, and then I will also use it for the fresh freesia. So I used this the other day. I think I got most of it out. I don't really see any ink. They're close enough. You don't really need to buy a blending brush for every color. I mean, you could if you wanted to. I think I finally got a second set, but you can just use similar color families. You can actually rinse these out. I've rinsed them out in the sink before. It just takes a while for them to dry, like overnight. So you can use them that way and wash it out. And we also have a smaller size. I haven't gotten any of the smaller ones yet. But these are really nice for blending ink and making backgrounds. Or if you're using the masks, they are kind of an essential tool. And I think these images are large enough that it warrants the larger size of the blending brushes. Plus then you can use them for backgrounds. That's my other favorite use of blending brushes. Okay, so I have a nice layer of bubble bath for that first mask. Then we will close up our bubble bath ink and grab our fresh freesia. And I'm going to grab mask number 2. And again, I'm just eyeballing it. These ones are pretty easy to do that. Okay, so now we're going to use the fresh freesia. And again, I just want to do kind of a light layer of the fresh freesia. It's darker than the bubble bath. And then our last layer will be the darkest layer. So I'll make sure to add plenty of color on that. And every time you do it, it's going to turn out a little bit different depending on how much ink you add. But I think that's cool that they all look a little different. Okay, are you ready to see the magic of this one? Ta-da! Beautiful. Okay, now we've got to get the third one. This one is a little trickier to line up without the notch. I at least have the notch on this side. I probably should have marked it just to test it and see if it worked, but I don't know. When I was doing the hydrangea, I could not, I don't know, the notches didn't work to line it up for me. So for this one, you just want to make sure you have all of those little openings in a flower, and I think I've got it. Okay, so this is our last layer of color, so I'm going to grab more of the fresh freesia. And we're just going to do another layer over these openings. That will be a little bit darker. And it is kind of hard to see, like when you have the mask on, how dark am I getting? How is this looking? So that's why it turns out different every time. But it's so magical, I think, when you take the masks off. Okay, are you ready? Look at that. I think that almost turned out better than my first one. Let's see. I don't know, what do you think? It looks pretty cool. I love the masks. I don't know about you, but I think they are so fun because you definitely feel like an artist, and it's not that hard. Okay, I did bring in my larger Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine to cut these out today, just because I wanted to make sure I had a large enough piece of cardstock to stamp on, especially with the hydrangea. I know my piece of cardstock won't fit in the mini machine. I think the die does fit in the mini machine. My piece of cardstock was just too big, so I thought I will just bring in my large machine today. But I believe all the dies do fit in the mini machine if you have that. The only one that might not is the hydrangea, but I think it does. Okay, let me grab my machine. And we'll see if we can get this guy cut out. Sorry, you don't get to see too much of it because that is just how large the machine is in the camera, but this will go through pretty quick. And then we can finish assembling our card. All right. Move this back out of the way till we need it again. All right. Looks even better cut out, doesn't it? Okay. So we're going to pull the other pieces of our card back in. I'm going to add my flowers with some Stampin' Dimensionals. And I just kind of centered it on that arch there. And then we're going to put a little bit of ribbon behind our sentiment. And I just kind of folded a small piece here. Maybe I did I tie a bow? I might have. I think I did tie a bow. This ribbon is flat enough that it wasn't too thick to put under the sentiment if you actually tied the bow. So we will do that because I think it helps to shape it just a little bit better if you actually tie the bow instead of just folding it. But you could do either way. So then I can put this down with a mini glue dot, and then we'll put the sentiment over the top with some dimensionals. So I just kind of put this over here on this corner. And then we will make sure that we put enough dimensionals on here. I think the ribbon should fit in between there, so it won't get too bulky. Kind of center that like so. All right, and then the last thing is to add a few of our starburst sequins. And since we have quite a bit of fresh freesia on this card, we're going to go with the fresh freesia sequins, but the white ones would work too. So there we go. There is our first card. This one might be my favorite one today. I just love the purples, but maybe you know I love purple already. Okay, I'm going to tuck this one in an envelope. I love to send the cards that I make every week. So if you are commenting, I draw winners from everyone who comments on Monday to send the cards to. And I think I am caught up. I have a few from really old ones that were still on my counter. And I was like, you know what, at this point, I just need to be done. But the recent ones I have all sent. And so usually on Mondays, I pick my winners for my Share It Saturday winners, and then I've started doing the video winners too at the same time, so they all get sent out together. Thank you, Joan. I'm glad that you like that card. Now this is the second one, and this one I think is my second favorite this week. I absolutely love hydrangeas. We had hydrangeas as part of our wedding flowers because I love them so much, and so that's kind of what sold me on this bundle to begin with. And I think the combination here of boho blue and blueberry bushel is really pretty. So this is our second card, and we are going to use the other side of the masks now, and I'll show you how that works. Now boho blue is one of our retiring in colors, and our new Last Chance products are going to get added on Tuesday on April 1st. So, of course, all of the outgoing in colors, I'm assuming, will be on there. Sometimes the Last Chance products are discounted. I have no idea which ones will be and which won't. But if you want any of those outgoing in colors, don't wait too long because those are the things that tend to sell out the fastest. So, boho blue, wild wheat, moody mauve, copper clay, and Pebbled Path are the outgoing ones. Boho blue is probably my favorite of those. So make sure you have enough cardstock, your ink refills, your Stampin' Blends markers, so you can use them for years to come. Oh, Joan says she just got her cute little bee card. Yep, from the last card class I did a few weeks ago. Yep, I got those sent out. So I'm glad that was some happy mail, Joan. All right, for this one we have one of the black and white pieces of the Designer Series paper. It is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then we're going to put it on a piece of basic black that is 3 1/2 by 4 1/2. And that will just get added flat to our card. All right, so I'm just centering that. And the leaves kind of go all directions on the Designer Series paper, so there's not really an up and down. You can put it however you want. All right, I think we're going to do our hydrangea first, and then we'll emboss our sentiment. So I don't have another size E block, so I had to get out my super large one for the hydrangea. But we're going to stamp it in black again. And sometimes with these large ones, it's almost easier to ink it up this way. But I just want to make sure that I get it inked up well. And then we're going to do more magic. Okay. If you have a stamp positioning tool like our former Stamparatus, you could use that too. That way, if you don't get it inked up well, you can ink it again. Okay, but using the glass mat underneath works really well too. Helps you get a nice clean image. Okay, we're going to start with the leaves again, and I am using my Garden Green. Something's beeping at me, my printer. I don't know why. I'm not even printing anything. Technology, I tell you. Give you lots of troubles. Okay, let's see here. All right, so you know what? I better get my scrap paper back in here. I'm trying hard not to make an inky mess today. Okay, we're going to line up our leaves for our hydrangea. And I will use my Post-its again if I can find where I stuck them. Here we go. All right, and just like I did with that first flower, the first layer you just want to get a layer of green down. It doesn't need to be super dark. because we're going to come back in and shade with our second mask. And if you make the first layer too dark, then the shading for your second layer does not show up as well. And you can decide how light or dark you want it. So I think that's probably good. And then we'll grab our second mask here. And we'll see if we can get that one lined up. All right. I think that's good. And we'll add our second layer of color to get some shading. And I'm probably getting ink all over my fingers from the other side of the mask. I'm going to have to be careful so I don't get ink in places I don't want it. I'm going to make sure this layer is dark for our shading. Okay, time to see the magic. Ta-da! Beautiful, just like the last one, right? Okay, now for our hydrangea, we're going to do a blue one. There's pink ones too, but we're doing blue this time. So I have boho blue and blueberry bushel. We're going to start with the boho blue, and just like with the fresh freesia and the bubble bath, I'm just going to use the same blending brush. So part of the reason I'm starting with the boho blue is I want to start with the lighter color. And then, you know, I used blueberry bushel on this before, so I'm just trying to get some of that out of here. Like I said, you could use two different ones if you want, but they're close enough colors. I think it's okay to use the same blending brush. Okay, I'm going to grab my number 1 mask here, and we're going to line that up. Okay, now here I have the notch on my scrap paper, so I'm going to mark it this time, and I'm going to show you. Let's see, let's get a pencil here. I tried to line the notches up the last time, and it just didn't seem to work. So maybe it was user error, and we will find out if I just was doing something wrong last time, or if I don't know. You guys can help me out. We'll mark it this time, and we'll see. So boho blue first, and I just want to do a light layer. Isn't that just such a pretty color? I think it's perfect for the hydrangeas. And there might be a little blueberry bushel still in there, and that's okay. Okay, so I moved this, didn't I? You know what? I bet I did that the first time too, and that's why I didn't get lined up. Okay, here's where you would maybe use the magnets from your Stamparatus. So my notch is definitely not going to work. I figured out the error, guys. It's me. The problem is totally me. I moved my paper. Okay. If you don't move your paper, the notches should line up just fine. I'm glad we figured that out. Okay, I'm using boho blue for this second layer too. And so it's just going to darken up some of those flowers. What's staying the lightest is kind of all those in-between areas. You'll see what I mean when I take the mask off. Okay, so all those in-between areas are lighter. It already looks awesome like that, I think. But we're going to use our last mask and do the blueberry bushel. It might look good just doing another layer of the boho blue also. Okay, so here's where that notch might be helpful, but I think this is the right spot actually. These are not too tricky to line up just by eyeballing it. But if you don't move your paper, you can use the little notch also. Okay. Blueberry bushel, and I'm not going too dark on this because I feel like it was almost too dark on the first card I made, but that's kind of how it is in the designer series paper. So I was mimicking that. There we go. Turned out beautiful. I love hydrangeas. So perfect little shading, and you didn't have to figure it out or think about it at all. I love it. Okay, so now we need to cut this one out. So I'm going to find that die. And we will bring our big machine back in. I will see if I have enough room here. And we will cut out our hydrangea here. So with our dies, you want to just line up the edge of the die with the edge of the stamped image. You won't really see that white outline, but when you pull it out after you die cut it, it will have a little bit of a white edge. But you don't really want to see that. Mine got a little crooked, so you will see more of a white edge. It's not terrible. That happens sometimes. Okay. I am going to put that die away so we don't lose anything. Oh, hold on. Sorry. Let me turn that off. I think that went off during one of my other videos, didn't it? So we have, when we bought this house, it had an alarm system. And we did not pay to continue the service. But slowly over the 8 years we've lived here, all of the little sensors have, you know, their battery has gone out. Well, now it's finally down to the main control box in this room, and the battery is low. It keeps informing us. But if you try and disconnect it from the wall, it gets even angrier at you. So one of these days it will just die, but that's not today. Okay, I'm gonna put my hydrangea on with dimensionals over here. And then I have a black circle that I cut with my Stylish Shapes dies, and we are going to heat emboss our sentiment in white. Hold on, I put my embossing machine on my chair, and maybe I will sit down to do this. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to use my embossing buddy, so hopefully our embossing powder will go only where we want it. And this, so in this stamp set, you have the With Love, and you can use that by itself, or like we're doing on this card, you can add the little and thanks. So with love and thanks. Then we're going to use our white embossing powder. Now I still have this is old, it lasts forever. But we have the new Wow embossing powder. So I'm going to have to try that eventually. But like I said, lasts forever. I just got a new stamp set on my pre-order though that I was thinking about embossing in black, and it's kind of a large image. So I'm thinking, how fast will I go through the black embossing powder if I emboss this? But I might have to try it, so we'll see. Okay, then we're going to heat emboss this, so bear with me for 30 seconds or so while the heat tool is on. All right, what do you think of that black and white look? I love embossing white on darker colors. And I had this piece because the card I shared on Tuesday, I think, I was trying to decide what to do with the sentiment. So I had this piece left over on my counter, and it worked really well with this card, I thought. So it still got used even though it was a reject from that other card. So we're going to add this with some dimensionals also. You can overlap your hydrangea just a bit. Then we're going to tie a little bow with our white ribbon here. love black and white with a pop of color. Usually the pop of color, I think, is brighter than this blue, but I really like how this turned out. Okay, we can add our bow with a mini glue dot. Just at the bottom of the hydrangea here. And then I thought the little white sequins would make good centers for some of our hydrangeas. Now you don't have to do every one. Odd numbers tend to look better, so I settled on 5. But you could do more than that if you wanted to. So I just picked 5 and put the sequins in the centers. And maybe this time I'll do 7. Oops, that one's trying to get away. Let's see, maybe, yeah, I think this one. All right, so there is our second card. I almost like 7 better. Pretty. Okay, I love that card. I lied. I don't know which one's my favorite, the first one or the second one. I like them both a lot. All right, we'll tuck that away for somebody who comments. And let's move things out of the way to do our third card. All right, so our third one, I used one of those pretty flower background pieces, and I'm going to show you how to cut out just those little petals of the hydrangea. And we're going to color them with Stampin' Blends this time, but if you wanted to, you could just use the blending brushes again. So let's see, let me get my envelope here. Dump all my pieces. For this one, we have a thick basic white card base. And I think the last time we spoke, they had discontinued thick basic white, but guess what, guys? It only took a few days and they reversed their decision. So I'm super happy about that. The price is going up just like our other card stack, but we will still have thick basic white in the 8.5 by 11 size, which I am super happy about. Oh, the more bling, the better. Yes, I like how you think. That is very true. Okay, for this one, we have a piece of the blueberry bushel. Blueberry bliss, blueberry bushel. That's the right word. I had to look at my ink pad right here. What is the name of that? Blueberry bushel. This is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And then we have a piece of that beautiful, lovely garden paper that is 3 3/4 by 5. So pretty with all the different flowers. So this sheet is one that makes a nice background piece. And I'm just going to lay these both flat to my card with my Stampin' Seal Plus. Okay, now the only thing I need to decide is which direction I want my flowers to go. I think this is okay. Okay, so now I have a couple pieces here for my stamping. For my sentiment, I've cut this with our Nested Essentials dies, and we're just going to stamp our sentiment in black. I like this one too. Thankful for you, friend. I think the fonts in this set are really pretty. I'm a sucker for a good font. And this is it. All right, that wasn't quite as dark as I would like, but that's okay. Oh, I guess I shouldn't close that. I have more stamping to do. Oh, guys. I might be low on sleep. I don't know. All right, we're going to stamp 2 of our leaves. I probably am low on sleep, so our church during Lent has church services on Wednesday nights. So the kids are up a little bit later than they usually are, and then it's kind of a killer because Thursday mornings we have to be out the door earlier because they have band lessons. So not a good combination. They are doing very well with it, and I obviously need a nap. Okay, so the petals that little die cuts out are these ones at the bottom here. So in your card kit, if you get it this week, you're going to get a piece. It's not large enough for the whole hydrangea, but you really just want to make sure you've stamped this little section right here because that is where that die fits to cut those out. So we'll stamp that. like so. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we're just getting these 3 right here. And obviously it was not perfect, so that's okay. I think I'm going to die cut first, and then we will color with our Stampin' Blends. So let's see, now that I've discovered there is more than one of those little leaves, we can cut both of them out at the same time, which is awesome. You could even do 3 at a time because there is 3 of them. I love when Stampin' Up! Does that because some of those little things you are definitely going to cut out more than one, so why not do it all at once and save yourself some time. All right, let me get the big machine back in here. The only problem is lining everything up and getting it to stay in place. I keep saying I need to buy more of there's some, I think it's just called purple tape. One of my customers gave it to me years ago. Oh, I stamped them too close together. I'm going to have to do one at a time anyways. One of my customers gave it to me years ago, and it's just like washi tape. But it works really well to hold your die cuts in place. So, we've got those lined up. I know you can't really see them, but we'll run it through and then we'll do that other leaf. I stamped them just too close together to make both dies fit at the same time. All right, so we'll take one out. And I'm lining it up. I know you can't see that. And I'll put it back through. And we'll move the machine out of the way. That one was not perfect, but that is okay. All right, let's get all our pieces here. Okay, so this I cut out much straighter than my first card, so we'll take that as a win. I am going to start with my dark blueberry bushel and just color the centers here. Now, like I said, you could just use the mask again. For that, I would definitely stamp as much of it as you can, and I would do the masks and the coloring before die cutting because that would be easier than trying to find just this small spot here. Okay, we're going to light blueberry bushel now. And if you wanted it to be a little bit lighter, you could switch over to the boho blue. Kind of like we did more of the boho blue when we colored with the blending brushes. But I thought I'd make this one darker. These are pretty small. You could probably also use a blender pen and pick up ink from your ink pad if you wanted to. Lots of different ways you could color. I just think the masks are a lot of fun because it takes all of the thinking out of it and it just looks pretty. Okay, and then I am using my light boho blue. And I'm just going to kind of color that in-between area. Just like how that was colored, you know, when we used the masks on that first card. Because it looked a little funny when it had all that white space. Now, if you wanted to leave a white edge, you sure could. But I thought it just looks like it fell right out of the plant when you colored the whole thing. When we lived in Colorado, we had a hydrangea that we planted. And we tried to bring it, well, I don't know, we might have tried to bring it here when we moved. I know my husband bought me one Mother's Day, and we tried to grow it here, but it was too hot. Okay, we are going to add our sentiment with some dimensionals. It looked like I smudged the ink a little bit on that, so we'll just make sure we cover that up with the flowers or the leaves or something. Or a sequin, you know. that's what all that stuff is for. Excuse me. Okay, I'm going to add my flowers with dimensionals first, and then, well, hold on. Nope, I added ribbon first. Okay, I better do that. Otherwise, I'm going to forget. All right, this time I just folded the ribbon. If you wanted to tie it again, you could, but since we are adding a couple layers of other things on the top, I just did a fold this time. And I like to just put a little bit of Stampin' Seal there and stick the ribbon to it. You could also use mini glue dots. Like, that part doesn't always stick, so you kind of have to hold that. But then it stays a little bit in place while you get your other piece here. And let's see. Go around like that. And then the leaves I'm going to add with just a dimensional also, but kind of tuck them behind the flower. So one there. You could color the leaves if you wanted to. I think they kind of pop a little more if you just leave them black and white. And this last card I copied a design from Rhonda Wade. I mostly did what she did. She used the Fresh Fraser ribbon. So if you like that velvety ribbon, you could sure use that on your cards too, and it would look good. Okay, we've got to finish off with our sequins, and since I hadn't used the yellow ones yet, I decided to use them on this card. But you could use the Fresh Fraser ones too, and that would be pretty. The white ones would look fine too, they just wouldn't pop as much on this card since the background of the paper is white. I think the yellow ones pop. All right, so there is our third card. All right, let me tuck that one in its envelope, and then I will bring my samples back in so you can see all three cards that we made today. Let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. I'm still torn between these two, although I like the last one also. I like all the cards today, but these two for sure are my favorites. So let me know what you like best. Don't forget that you can get the card kit for free with your order of more than $50 now through Tuesday. I will add the shopping link in the description here shortly. I'm also going to add a link to join my email list because that is the place where you will definitely make sure that you get my videos sent to you, information about my classes. I might have something up my sleeve for a class with this paper. So if you like the paper, make sure you're following along with that. Oh, Joan likes number 3 the best. See, I love it because everyone likes something different. So hopefully every week I bring something that you love. I plan to be live again next week, and we will make 3 more beautiful cards. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you are having a great week, and I will see you again soon. Bye.